Hello everyone, back to today's third video. We're going to have a look at Hurricane Irma for today's third video. See what the latest forecasts are suggesting with the GFS and ECM WF for this already very big hurricane. It's in the central part of the tropical Atlantic Ocean at the moment, nowhere near anywhere inhabited, really. It's already a Category 3 hurricane, though. It looks like it's going to strengthen either to a Category 4, possibly even to a Category 5, which is the strongest category of hurricane that you can get. And it is going to get, I think, perilously close to America. Whether it hits America, it's a little bit uncertain at the moment, but it's going to get quite close to America, not the Gulf area that was impacted by Harvey. This one looks like it's more on the eastern side of the state. So I'll talk you through the latest forecast from the GFS and ECM in a moment. If you're watching from the UK, then we'll have your week to 10-day update as well. And just say we have done the weekend forecast, so you can find that here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a little bit, and you'll find it above the polling count. It's also a written version. You get to have buttons at the top of the page. And also today we have released a September month-end broadcast. So it's been a very busy day at the website on this Saturday. Hope you're enjoying all the updates. And talking of updates, tomorrow we've got the very first update for winter of 2017-18. There'll be one of those every Sunday from tomorrow through to the end of November. Talk a little bit more about that at the end of this video. We're going to start off with the latest from the National Hurricane Center, which is part of NOAA, of course. So, 3 areas of interest. We've still got the legacy of Harvey just here through these central eastern states. It is now a post-tropical depression. That's how it's officially being designated. Still producing quite a lot of heavy rain, but that one is now dying a death as it's lost all the energy that it picked up from the Gulf of Mexico. Then we've got this yellow cross over here off the coast of Africa. That at the moment is just a disturbance area. So it's an area of thunderstorms, really. It may develop into something, into a storm or a hurricane further down the line. At the moment, for the next 48 hours anyway, there's no chance of this developing into a tropical sort of storm. But it does need watching, because that's the sort of breeding ground, appears to be a breeding ground this year for these storms. We've had 2 or 3 of these hurricanes and storms develop from that area, from thunderstorms in that area. So we need to wait and see what's going to happen with that. And then the main story now is all eyes on Hurricane Irma, and that is Irma just there. As at the moment, it's a Category 3 hurricane. You see, it's a very long way from any land. We've got the east coast of Africa over here. I should say the west coast of Africa is over there. And the east part of America is up here. And this, of course, is the Caribbean and into Mexico just there. So it's a very, very long way from anywhere inhabited at the moment. But, of course, the direction that this is going to go is it is going to be pushing through the tropical Atlantic in that direction. So eventually you have to assume it is going to arrive somewhere inhabited, and we're going to wait and see exactly where that is. So this is how the National Hurricane Center in America is sort of predicting things up to Thursday in terms of Hurricane Irma. So that's the latest position of the Category 3 hurricane right now. By Tuesday, this is the forecast position here. Again, nowhere near anywhere inhabited, but by Thursday, it's getting very close to the very sort of eastern part of the Caribbean. So it's beginning to get very close then to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. And then, of course, where it goes beyond that, will it go in that sort of direction, impacting all those other Caribbean islands? Will it go in that direction and impact the Bahamas? Will it go up there, impacting Bermuda? Or will it actually do something like this and start to impact the eastern coast of the United States? And that's what we've got to pin down as we get through to the end of next week and sort of next weekend. We've got to pin down whether this Hurricane Irma is going to get over towards the Caribbean and whether it's going to get up towards eastern parts of America. So this is the latest GFS from forecast from website meteoseal.fa, and finally to Meteoseal on the links page. So I'll show you where Irma is right now. That just there, if we let's just go back and do that again. So that is Hurricane Irma. Just there. Doesn't look all that much of a storm, really. It doesn't look that intense, but it is a Category 3 hurricane already. So we're starting today, Saturday, 2nd of September. Let's run through, just keep your eye on that part of the chart. So we're running through into the early part of next week. Let's stop it there on Wednesday, the 6th of September, and that's the position of Irma there, and it is beginning to move towards the Caribbean at that point. We go on beyond that, and we get through to Thursday, and then through to Friday, and now Hurricane Irma is heading up towards places like the Bahamas by the look of it by the end of next week. At this point, it's reaching Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane status. So it is a very, very significant hurricane, deadly hurricane by this point, the 8th of September. We move out beyond that and we head into next weekend, and look where the GFS is moving Irma to then. It's moving it away from the Caribbean, but it's heading it increasingly onto the eastern seaboard of the United States. So rather worryingly, by the time you get through to the 10th of September, which I think is a week tomorrow on Sunday, we actually have Hurricane Irma on the eastern coast of America, and that looks very, very serious indeed if that was to come off. It's hitting populated areas on the eastern coast of America very worryingly. We go into extended range of the GFS and see what it does with it. It moves it up the eastern seaboard, so it's heading up to places like New York State, for example, here, again, on the 10th of September. Very significant storm. And then it moves it quickly up into Canada, where it kind of dies a death. It loses its identity, really. By the time you get through to 12th of September, you wouldn't really know that there has been a hurricane on that eastern side of America. It's gone up into Canada and it's lost its identity in the very cool waters of the northern Atlantic Ocean. Just run out beyond that. I shouldn't really go any further than that, but notice by the time you get through to the middle part of September, it looks like there's yet another disturbance going on then. I'm not sure if that's just an area of low pressure or whether that is another tropical storm or hurricane, but that's the 16th of September, very long way out. But again, that's just an idea that even once Irma is out of the way, we aren't out of the woods by any means. It is an active hurricane season. It was expected because we've got very warm sea surface temperature anomalies in the tropical Atlantic off the coast of Africa this year. So, and that's kind of like what I explained, it's the breeding ground for the storms this year. So, we may get another hurricane, tropical storm coming along through the middle part of September. But let's concentrate on Irma first of all. So this is kind of the American view with the GFS model from Meteoseal. Again, we're starting today. That is Hurricane Harvey, just there, or the last of Hurricane Harvey, just as an area of low pressure really now. We'll run through, and not much going to happen until we get through to the middle part of the week, and then you notice there comes Irma in the bottom right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. That is Hurricane Irma just there heading into northern parts of the Caribbean at the end of the coming week. And we know, because we've already seen the Northern Hemisphere view, that the GFS is moving this into the eastern coast of America. So here we go from the 9th through to the 10th of September. That does look very, very impactful indeed for the eastern seaboard of the United States. That looks very, very concerning, I have to say, as we're going through to the end of next week and then into following weekend. It's moving up towards New York State, and that sort of area, the very populated areas of the eastern seaboard. And then beyond that, of course, it pushes it northwards into Canada. By the 11th, it is very, very rapidly dying away. And again, you wouldn't know that anything really has happened. And then we go beyond that into extended range. And again, we've got that next storm system there, very close to the eastern seaboard through the middle part of September. That's all the GFS output. What about the ECM WF? So again, I'm going to show you the Northern Hemisphere view. And this is where Irma is right now in terms of its current position. We roll on and you can see that it almost goes off the screen. Actually, by the time you get through to the 8th of September, that is the position of Irma just then, heading in towards sort of the eastern parts of the Caribbean islands. And then the ECMWF is trending this further southward, so it is still getting close to America, but it's actually moving it towards Florida, the ECM. So it takes it by the 11th of September, it's hitting Florida just there, and then as far as that altitude we can go, which is day 10, which is the 12th of September, the ECMWF has it sort of Florida and then up towards the Carolinas, so in the southeastern corner of America, not taking it right up the eastern seaboard. But of course, it's sort of fractions this, so they're both in agreement that it's going to hit somewhere in the eastern part of America. Just the ECMWF has it sort of Florida, Carolinas, that sort of area, whereas the GFS has it more up towards the central and northern part of the eastern seaboard. But it does need watching very, very closely either way, because it is bringing this out of the eastern Caribbean and up into those populated parts of America. So obviously we will be keeping you updated on this over the next few days. Just very quickly having a look closer to home. So if you haven't seen the month-ahead forecast, you won't know that the central temperature for August in central England came out at 15.6 degrees, which is just a little bit cooler than average. Had our first cooler than average month, only by 0.2 of a degree. That's set against 61 to 1990 averages, which is a cold temperature average. If we were to set that against a modern temperature average, such as 81 to 2010, then that's nearly a degree cooler than average. So I think we can say we've had our first cooler than average month of the year, continuing into the first day of September. So provisional for the 1st of September, just one day, we are at 13.4 degrees for September, which is an anomaly of 1.5 degrees below average, very significantly cooler than average. And of course, that's only for one day. Been a very strange summer, because you'll notice that in June, we came out with CET of 16.0, anomaly of nearly 2 degrees above average. Then in July, 16.8, an anomaly of just 0.7 degrees above average. Then in August, cooler than June, which is quite unusual, at 15.6, an anomaly of 0.2 degrees below average. So it appears as we've gone through the summer, we have lost the warm anomaly. It looks like as we've gone through the summer, the anomalies have gradually reduced and the warmth has kind of just drained out of the atmosphere in some ways. It'll be very interesting to see where things go now. Will the cooling trend continue in September, or will we revert back to that those warm anomalies that we had earlier in the year? It'd be really interesting to see what goes on there. Temperature anomalies, so UK and Europe look like this from the 2nd to 10th of September. Those central areas of Europe are coming out a bit cooler than average. Actually, the UK is a little bit warmer than average for the week ahead. But either way, not a great deviation. Most parts of Europe are coming out really close to average. The biggest deviations across all parts of Scandinavia, down across Iberia, and also into the southeastern part of Europe. Otherwise, most places are coming out with temperature anomalies not deviating all that far from average. It looks unsettled for the UK in the week ahead. This is a precipitation anomaly from the 2nd to 10th of September. And it's coming out generally average to above average with the rainfall for much of the UK. Although France, Spain, Portugal coming out drier than average there. This is how the GFS is looking for Wednesday then. Of course, it's all covered in the weekend forecast, so we've just got a showery and fairly coolish westerly wind coming in on Wednesday. Then the second half of next week turns increasingly unsettled, so it could be some quite wet weather spreading down across the country by Friday into next weekend. That looks proper wet and windy for Saturday. And then on Sunday, we're reverting to sunshine and showers. That is Irma just there, rolling its way up the eastern coast of America and heading up towards eastern parts of Canada. Into the following weeks, this takes us to Monday the 11th of September. Deep area of low pressure is in the Atlantic, but what this run of the GFS wants to do is actually store this low pressure in the Atlantic and pull up a very warm southerly wind by Tuesday, 12th of September. A lot of that is probably being caused by the remains of Irma, sort of pumping warmth out of the tropics into the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. And what these hurricanes and storms are doing, they're distributing heat. So they're one of the ways that the Earth sort of warms and cools itself, if you like. They're dumping heat, taking heat out of the tropical Atlantic, hottest part of the world, and they are distributing it northwards into mid-latitudes, eventually dumping it up in the pole. And it's kind of like one of the ways the Earth's thermostat works, if you like. So by day 10, anyway, that's off on a bit of a tangent. By day 10, Tuesday 12th September, we're drawing up this southerly wind. It looks quite hot actually there, although very unstable. We've got low pressure, deep area of low pressure out to our west. There's the upper air temperatures, and very quickly it looks like we might be pushing something thundery through on Wednesday the 13th of September. So maybe briefly very warm, but don't rule out the chance of something thundery. East MUF is very different though. So this is how we look on Wednesday with this showery westerly wind coming in across the UK, and then we go through to Thursday and Friday looking very unsettled. So they're both in agreement out to the end of next week, which is to turn things increasingly unsettled, and that lasts into next weekend as well. Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th does look very unsettled with that area of low pressure close to the country. But then beyond that, missing the point where the GFS is pushing up or pulling up those southerly winds. Not so with the ECMWF. What the ECM wants to do, keep an eye on this area of low pressure that's sitting across Germany on Monday the 11th of September, giving them a soaking. By day 10, Tuesday the 12th, that area of low pressure has pushed out of Germany and into the North Sea. That will be bringing a real soaking, a drenching to eastern parts of the country, with no doubt a lot of heavy rain and strong winds running down the east coast. Been a long time since we've had a September chart like that. It is quite unusual, quite a bizarre looking chart. Not sure how seriously we can take it, but just look at the difference between the ECM at day 10 and the GFS at day 10. So again, that's the GFS at day 10, putting up those southerly winds. Looks quite hot, especially in the south, although it's very unstable, probably turning quickly thundery. But that's the GFS, which is, instead of pulling in southerly winds, it's pulling in northeasterly winds and a lot of very, very wet weather on this eastern side of the country as well. And the heat that the GFS has in the west of Europe at day 10, the ECMWF has that many thousands of miles away over in the east and the southeast of Europe. So huge differences there between the two models, and I assume most of that is probably caused by the way they're handling Hurricane Irma. Those differences are probably down primarily to the way they're handling Hurricane Irma. Remember, the GFS wants to move that storm up the east coast into Canada and then push it out into the northern Atlantic, just as an area of low pressure, but it's bringing up a lot of warm air out of the tropical Atlantic as it's doing it, whereas the ECM has that storm, that Hurricane Irma, down in the southeast corner of America, so sort of Florida, Carolinas, and consequently it's not pushing up the heat into the northern part of the Atlantic like the GFS is doing. So very big differences between the models at day 10, all down to the way they are handling Irma. Right, so it's been nearly 20 minutes. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope it's been a bit useful in terms of what's happening with this hurricane. It's all a very long way off, so we're just going to wait and see exactly where this storm is going to go. At the moment, it does look like it's going to impact somewhere in America, but exactly where and whether it does so in the end, we're still to determine. Right, so that's the final of today's 3 videos. Now, tomorrow we're doing the first update for the winter of 2017-18. So what we're going to be doing with that is getting together our methodology, which is kind of looking at things like sea surf temperature anomalies, what's happening with and so hurricane activity plays a part in the winter updates as well, and several other things too. It'll all be explained in tomorrow's video. It'll be released around 10 AM. So if you're interested in the winter, if you want to follow these updates, there'll be one every week through the rest of the autumn, from tomorrow through to the end of November. If you want to follow the story as it unfolds, then part 1 is going to be with you tomorrow. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.